Ling Feng had no idea where to find Chonner. Was she injured? Had someone locked her away? For the first time, he felt utterly helpless. Compared to Chonner, he was powerless.
When I'm in trouble, Chonner can use her powers to save me. But when she's in trouble, I don't even know where to look for her.
Ling Feng waited in the little wooden hut for 10 days, but Chonner never appeared.
She must be in trouble.
He didn't even have the strength to move. The only time he could see Chonner was in his dreams, so he refused to wake up. In a daze, a familiar scent drifted into his nose, the smell of burning firewood and steaming rice. He opened his eyes and greedily inhaled the aroma. Chonner was back.
Chonner!
He shouted with all his remaining strength. It really was her. Ling Feng threw his arms around her, sobbing uncontrollably. He had experienced a despair and heartbreak he had never known before. He couldn't lose her again. Chonner told him what had happened. It turned out that her people wanted the jade pendant Ling Feng carried. On the very day they returned from the Moon Spirit Clan school, her tribesmen had ambushed them at the cave entrance. They slipped into the tunnel Chonner had created, captured her, and sent a female tribesman to impersonate her and trick him out of the pendant. Chonner herself had been imprisoned but had finally managed to escape. Thinking back, Ling Feng realized that the time it took to go through the tunnel that day was indeed several times longer than usual. So much had happened inside the passage without him knowing. Chonner swore she would help Ling Feng get his jade pendant back.
That pendant is just a trinket. Even though my mother gave it to me, we can find another one if it's lost. But there is only one Chonner. We will never be apart again.
He ran outside, picked up a small white pebble near the hut, and knelt before Chonner.
Chonner, right now all I have is this little stone. But I promise you my wealth, everything I own, and my very self belong to you. I want to be with you forever, never to part. Will you marry me?
Blushing, Chonner nodded gently and took the pebble. They bowed to heaven, earth, the sun, and the moon outside the hut, and held their own wedding banquet inside. Thus, they were married. That night, they exchanged vows of eternal love and shared endless tenderness. Before long, Chonner's monthly cycle was delayed, she was pregnant. Ling Feng decided to take Chonner home to meet his mother. Chonner packed their few belongings from the mountains, along with dried mushrooms and lingji they had gathered together. She then opened a tunnel straight to the Mu residence in the capital. Ling Feng estimated they spent about half an hour in the tunnel before arriving. To his surprise, they emerged right inside his beloved study. Holding Chonner's hand, he walked toward his mother Shui Mei's courtyard. In the yard, his mother's personal maid, Sandal, was watering flowers.
Sandal, is my mother here?
Young master! Young madam, you've been with young master all along?
Sandal, where is my mother?
The principal madam went to the frontier.
Why did she go to the frontier again?
She went to look for you. She's been gone for over half a year. Not long after young madam disappeared, the household was already in chaos when news arrived that you had also gone missing at the frontier. The principal madam was so worried she fell ill, and before she had fully recovered, she headed to the frontier to find you.
Why didn't anyone stop her?
Young master, you know the principal madam's temper. When it comes to anything concerning you, no one can stop her.
What do you mean young madam went missing? Which young madam?
Your young madam, of course. 3 days after you and young madam married, you left for the frontier. Later, young madam disappeared. The emperor and the principal madam were both frantic. So you and young madam were actually together?
Are you saying young madam went missing?
Ling Feng pointing at Chonner. Sandal nodded vigorously. Ling Feng finally understood. Sandal had mistaken Chonner for the fifth princess. Could the fifth princess and Chonner look alike? On his wedding day, after finishing the ceremony with the mentally impaired fifth princess, he had been carried away immediately and never got a clear look at her face. Regardless, he needed to settle the pregnant Choner first and then go find his mother. Choner's true identity could wait. Just then, the maids who had come with the fifth princess as dowry attendants rushed over. Seeing Choner, they all bowed. Seizing the opportunity, Ling Feng said smoothly,
Take the young madam to her room to rest. She is with child. Take good care of her. I'll join her once I'm done here.
The servants offered their congratulations and helped Choner back to her quarters. Choner didn't hesitate. She confidently played the role of the fifth princess, which saved Ling Feng a lot of trouble. Ling Feng summoned Lu Shun.
When I left Tianqiang Tower the day, I told you to go find Choner. What happened?
When the imperial envoy arrived to read the decree, I got distracted. In the blink of an eye, Choner was gone. She was stolen by Li Chongqing, son of Minister Li. I followed them to the minister's mansion, sneaked in through a dog hole at night, heard Choner chirping loudly, and quickly found her in the cellar. I put her back in the tunnel at Lingxi Mountain Villa. But not long after, Choner went missing again. I searched everywhere, and eventually, she came back on her own. Afraid she'd run off again, I locked her in the Rosewood Palace. Since then, she hasn't eaten, drunk, or made a sound.
Is Choner still there?
Yes, she is.
Ling Feng thought for a long while. He recalled the time he had met the cricket on the road to the frontier, the time they had spent together in the mountains, and the time they had been separated in the woods outside Guansha City. The timelines matched.
We'll go check on Choner in the tunnel later.
Yes, sir.
How did the princess go missing?
The princess was playing at the mansion gate that day and vanished in an instant. Later, we reported it to the emperor. He sent investigators, posted imperial notices, and even set up a special detective bureau led by 4 chief constables. Coincidentally, just a few days after the princess disappeared, news of your disappearance at the frontier arrived. The principal madam was already exhausted from the princess's case, and when she heard you were also missing, she collapsed. As soon as she recovered a little, she set off for the frontier. Even the emperor couldn't stop her.
Who went with my mother?
Wood and his younger brother, along with Xiao Ling, Kai Yun, and 8 servants. I also heard that Brother Sean and his men from the escort agency went along.
Just then, old manager Bei entered. Ling Feng told him,
The young madam has returned. There are some important household matters to discuss with her. Since my mother has been away for so long, report the household accounts to her and teach her how to review the ledgers.
Do you mean the fifth princess, young madam? Of course, with the principal madam away, the young madam is the mistress of the house and should rightfully take over household management.
Ling Feng knew he was referring to the fifth princess's intellectual disability, but he didn't bother explaining, he couldn't figure it out himself either. Leaving the manager and Lu Shun behind, he walked toward the fifth princess's courtyard. The fifth princess's wet nurse and maids had already bathed and changed Choner. They brought snacks, cooked sweet soup, and laid out the princess's favorite foods and toys on a table.
Nanny, Choner's pregnant. Please take good care of her for me.
Rest assured, young master. This old servant will make sure nothing happens to the princess again.
Mama Li promised. Ling Feng then turned to Choner and said,
I'll have the manager hand over household management to you. Don't overwork yourself, the most important thing is taking care of the baby in your belly.
Choner nodded. Wiping away tears, Mama Li said,
When the princess was young, a fortune teller read her fate. He said she wasn't sick, her soul was simply wandering outside and refusing to return. When the destined moment arrived, and it would happen after she married. I didn't believe it back then, but now I see that you can't argue with fate. Heaven sets the schedule, and ordinary people like us can only wait. The princess is my lifeblood. Losing her nearly killed me, but I always felt I had to find her before I could die in peace. Now she's back. Her soul has returned, and she's carrying your child. Even if I die today, I can face her poor mother in the afterlife.
Ling Feng listened silently. Thinking of his own mother searching for him at the frontier, his nose stung. He glanced at Chonner, who had already guessed what was on his mind. Hand in hand, they walked out of the courtyard.
When do you want to leave for the frontier?
Tomorrow morning.
All right. I'll go with you. If we delay too long, Mother might be in danger. What kind of place is the frontier, anyway?
After dinner, Ling Feng went out. He and Lu Shun arrived at the tunnel of Lingxi Mountain Villa. It was pitch black, and Lu Shun carried a lantern to light the way. When they reached the stone wall at the far end, Lu Shun hung the lantern above the Rosewood Palace. Ling Feng saw the shiny black cricket. It lay motionless on a dry grass mat. He opened the cage door and called to it, spoke to it softly, but there was no response.